Hey, what's going on, Patriots? I'm Barnett.
And I'm Joey Renshaw.
Let's get right to it. We're going to be talking about district semifinal boys, Truman versus Raytown. Let's go. So, before the game, we talked about two players, Don Edmonton and Cayman Lennox. We said those were going to be the guys that the Patriots were going to turn to for big nights and to try to get the scoring started. And lo and behold, we couldn't have been any more accurate. I mean, Cayman went for 23. Don Edmonton was in double figures easily. And they just had a nice, great game. I mean, Cayman was consistent. Three-point shot was money, especially during that second quarter run they had. And then Don had a streak where he had 4 consecutive possessions with. He had 9 of the Patriots' last 9 points.
Yeah.
Throughout the night in the second quarter, I believe. He had 2 consecutive threes and then an and one converted. Got the 3-point play there the old-fashioned way. So, I mean, those observations we made before the game couldn't have been any more accurate. I mean, what do you have to say?
I mean, correct, like, those were our 2 biggest scoring guys, but we can't discount the other guys on the team. I mean, we had Maceo down there. I think he drew like 2 or 3 charging fouls in the game. Just being able to constantly be a presence in the paint that even though we were getting these hard fouls called on us, we were still able to draw the charges here and there. We also had a few other guys that were in there just doing solid defense that I think that we shouldn't underestimate.
Yeah, that's true. And then I think another thing that we didn't really foresee coming was how streaky the game ended up being. Raytown jumped out hardcore on the Patriots in that first quarter. We talked about Raytown. They play with a lot of tempo, and they did that. And I think the Patriots got caught off guard a little bit the first quarter. I believe after the first quarter it was like 20-9 or 20-11, I think.
It was 20-11.
And then at halftime it was 29 all, deadlocked. So, I mean, Truman couldn't score. They couldn't hardly buy a bucket in the first quarter, and then Raytown was just going off. And then the Patriots defense kind of recovered in the second and then held them to 7 points or something like that in the second quarter. So, I mean, just a lot of streaky play. The third quarter was great. A lot of scoring going on, especially for the Patriots side of things. And then the fourth quarter was like nobody could score. I mean, it was like the lids were on the basket. I mean, what do you think about that?
I mean, I definitely think that it was one of the most streaky games we could have seen. At the beginning of the game, Raytown came out with this perfectly done transition game that we kind of predicted in the beginning. We saw them passing out to their shooters, definitely hitting those wing spots. But then the Truman definitely got wind of that, and they were able to pull the pace in and try to control the pace to an extent. And then once we got to the fourth quarter, it seems like both of them were just playing perfect defense to the point that you could only get 10, 20 shots off.
Yeah. Well, and I think what was weird about it was, I think in the first quarter, the Patriots were trying to play their game. And then in the second quarter, when we scored all our points, you kind of see the Patriots, they'd pull the offense out. They'd run the clock a little bit and make that. Raytown's so used to having teams try to play their game that they get those turnovers, and then it's just easy transition, get out and run. But when you pull that offense out, you make the defense uncomfortable. You get them in territory they haven't really been in before. So you get them uncomfortable, and then the offense kind of loses that energy because on defense they're not getting the ball down the floor quick because they're not getting those turnovers. So then therefore the Patriots offense was making the Raytown offense even worse because they couldn't get out and run because they were milking so much clock and taking so much time that the defense just couldn't get comfortable for Raytown.
Exactly, and I think that was one of the biggest strengths of both teams was being able to adapt to what the other team was bringing to them. I mean, like, every time something new would come up, Truman would start trying to throw a few more plays in, start trying to run the clock down a little bit. Right at that moment, you would have either timeout or just some quick thinking by the Raytown staff just to get themselves back in that game.
Yeah, and I think, well, let's talk about a little bit about, like, towards the end of the game. So fourth quarter, we're getting down to where it's getting real close, and we end up going into overtime. Overtime, man, crazy overtime. First of all, fourth quarter, there was nothing doing offensively either side. I mean, I don't know if there was 10 points combined between the two teams that whole fourth quarter. But in overtime, we see the back and forth, and it looked like the Patriots were going to close out the game. They, came and hit some big free throws, gave them a lead, and then Raytown turns it over on a sloppy decision. And we're looking at, I think it was like less than 10 seconds left or right around 10 seconds. And we've got Sam Billimon at the line, who's been money from the free throw line this year. And front end of a 1-and-1, clanks in and out, just bad luck. And
they just get that perfect transition right there. And that was really what seemed to do it in. Like, you could definitely tell we were just really worn out, and they just had that one little bit of explosiveness. Sadly, it was the same guy that we've been running into a bunch with getting some of our bad fouls called on us, who was just driving in the paint. They had played a very football style sort of
Yeah.
game where they were just playing very physically, and they just came in like a bulldozer and just rolled over our defense right there.
Yeah, you know, and it was just bad luck. You know, guys are tired, overtime, running out of legs, and lo and behold, guy dribbles it down and then finds a wide open back door right under the bucket, layup, 3 seconds left, comes down to a full court heave, and, you know, barring some crazy luck, that shot's just not really going to fall. And so ultimately, Truman fell by 1 in overtime. I believe 56-55, I think, was
Something
the
along
final
those
score.
lines, yeah.
But either way, 1-point heartbreaker. You know, Don Edmonton had played his butt off all game, and unfortunately that senior just couldn't get that district championship berth that he's been looking for. But ultimately, it was a solid effort all year, just great effort from everyone. They played intense. The gym was just rocking. It was a great atmosphere. And I'm looking forward to coming back next year and seeing some more Patriots basketball. Signing off from THS Media, I'm Kyler Barnett.
And I'm Joey Renshaw.
We'll see you next time.